Beyond the Gates seems to have created a rival for Haley, and now it has introduced a new rival for Leslie as well, someone who may be able to rein in Leslie's arrogance and madness. So who do you think it is? Let's dive in and find out. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and thank you for your trust. Everything I share is purely speculation and personal opinion. If you find this video interesting and helpful, please support me with a like and leave a comment. At Fairmont Crest, there are people who do not enter a battle with shouting or obvious rage. They enter it through silence, through glances that linger a little too long, through meetings that seem accidental but have in fact been calculated far in advance. Some secrets are no longer secrets not because they are poorly hidden, but because everyone who touches them understands that once the final covering is pulled away, it will not be just one person who falls. An entire family, a reputation, and a whole structure of power could collapse with them. And this time, the tremor building beneath Fairmont Crest does not begin with Leslie, the woman long seen as the spark behind chaos, but with Monica, a woman who arrived carrying herself with calm and restraint, seeming as though she had only come to help, to steady those already reeling from pain. But in a place like Fairmont Crest, no one appears at exactly the right moment by pure accident. No one reaches out a hand in the middle of a battlefield unless they are carrying at least one reason strong enough to make them step willingly into danger. And when Monica begins standing closer to the fractures inside the Dupree family, when Vernon does not resist her presence but instead allows it to move deeper into the center of the tension, a chilling question begins to form in the minds of those observant enough to notice. Is Monica truly here to save someone, or to finish a debt that was never truly buried? Monica is not the kind of person who draws attention through noise. Her weight comes from the way she makes other people feel seen through. It is the kind of presence that makes innocent people feel safe, yet makes those who are used to manipulating others suddenly lose the steady rhythm of their breath. Leslie is the first to feel that clearly. Leslie has always lived by her ability to control the atmosphere around her, to bend other people's emotions, to exploit fear, guilt, and even greed in order to push everyone back into exactly the position she wants them to occupy. She is used to people reacting to her aggression, used to being the one who strikes first and forces everyone else into defense. But Monica does not do that. Monica does not fight for dominance, does not argue, does not turn herself into either a victim or an opponent in the way Leslie expects. She simply enters quietly, observes, asks just enough questions, remains present just enough, and it is that calm that truly unsettles Leslie. Because for the first time in a long while, she is facing someone who is not afraid of her, does not need to avoid her, and worse than that, seems to have already known exactly what kind of person she is. Leslie's real fear has never come from people louder than she is. Her fear comes from people who can drag the past into the light without having to perform power. Monica brings precisely that feeling. Every time Monica appears, Leslie is not only irritated because she is being blocked in the present, she is also being pushed backward into a region of memory she has spent years trying to bury. There is something between Monica and Leslie that goes beyond a clash born from recent crises. It does not feel like to women who have merely crossed paths because they stand on opposite sides. It feels like to people who once touched each other's pain in the past, under circumstances no one else fully knows. The harder Leslie tries to act dismissive toward Monica, the harder she tries to react as though Monica is only a new obstacle, the more that urgency exposes an even more suspicious truth. Perhaps Monica is not someone newly entering Leslie's life at all, but an old ghost returning at the exact moment Leslie is no longer strong enough to keep pretending that the past never existed. Vernon is the first to recognize Monica's value in this war, or perhaps he is the one who opened the door for her to walk through. That is what makes everything more dangerous. Vernon is the kind of man who protects his family in a hard, highly calculated way. He is not someone who places trust easily. much less someone willing to let an outsider insert herself freely into the internal fault lines of the Dupree family. If he allows Monica to come close, if he shows no real caution toward her presence, then there are only two possibilities. Either Vernon truly believes Monica is the weapon needed to contain Leslie, or Vernon knows Monica far better than anyone realizes and understands that her presence is not a threat to him but a tool he can use. But Fairmont Crest is not the kind of place where using another person like a chess piece comes without consequences. If Vernon truly asked Monica to intervene, then the question is no longer whether he is protecting his family, but what exactly within that family he is trying to protect. Because sometimes what a powerful man is desperate to preserve is not the happiness or honor of those he loves, but the survival of a secret greater than all the conflicts everyone is openly arguing about. Perhaps Vernon sees Leslie as a threat that has gone too far, a woman no longer simply causing disorder, but beginning to reach toward layers of truth that should never have been exposed. Leslie is not the kind of destroyer who acts out of emotion alone. She destroys for power, for revenge, for the conviction that if she cannot fully possess what she wants, then no one else should be allowed to keep it in peace either. A woman like that is extremely dangerous when cornered, but even more dangerous when she believes she has found a thread that could pull down an entire system. If Leslie truly knows something connected to Vernon, to the Dupree family, or to some hidden link buried for years, then Vernon's need to stop her is no longer an overreaction. It becomes self-defense. The problem is that such self-defense may have been disguised too neatly under the name of protecting the family. So neatly that even the people involved cannot see they are being pulled into something far more calculated, a silencing operation hidden beneath the appearance of care. Monica, if Vernon truly did invite her into this, is not the kind of woman who would easily accept being used as a simple tool. She does not carry herself like an obedient pawn. There is a distinct coldness in Monica, the kind that belongs to someone who has learned to bury emotions so deeply that it only shows itself at the most necessary moment. A woman like Monica only steps into a war if there is also something in it for her, some answer, some reckoning, some settlement she needs for herself. That is exactly what makes the theory of an old connection between Monica and Leslie more convincing. Perhaps Leslie once did something to Monica, or to someone very close to Monica, something she could never forget and could never forgive. But she waited patiently until the right time to strike, the moment when her opponent would be least prepared. Leslie may have destroyed someone's reputation, stolen someone's future, or pushed an innocent person into a life from which they could never fully rise again. Wounds like that never truly disappear. They only change shape, clinging in silence to the people who survived them and waiting for the day they are named. If Monica comes now, at the very moment Leslie feels most confident in her power to manipulate yet is also leaving behind the most openings, then this is no longer coincidence. It is patience. It is waiting. It is a plan held in silence for so long that no one even believed it still existed. That is why Leslie's fear of Monica carries an entirely different color. Leslie can challenge Vernon, hate Eva, and look down on anyone she considers weak or dependent. But with Monica, she does not react the way she would to a brand new opponent. She reacts like someone who realizes the past has found its way back. Some fears do not come from the risk of immediate defeat, but from the terror of being known before one can put on a mask. And Leslie, no matter how vicious she is still a woman who survives through those masks. She needs to project the illusion that she is stronger, sharper, more in control. But if Monica once witnessed Leslie at her ugliest, cruelest, or most desperate, then all of Leslie's psychological power collapses the moment she faces her. For the first time, the woman who has always made others tremble is forced to watch every step of her own. Between those two women, Eva becomes the most tragic link of all. She is not only Leslie's daughter in the emotional or biological sense, but also the person standing between two versions of the truth. On one side is the mother she still wants to believe in, a woman who, however flawed, might still be partly a victim of circumstance. On the other side is Monica, who may be holding a truth powerful enough to tear apart the last image of her mother that Eva has been trying to preserve. If Eva learns the real connection between Monica and Leslie, if she learns that Leslie once did something terrible to Monica or to someone Monica loved, then that collapse will not be ordinary disappointment. It will be an identity crisis. Because when a woman is forced to look directly at the possibility that her own mother destroyed another life, every bit of love, loyalty, and protection she once offered that mother risks turning into humiliation, guilt, and tightly compressed rage, Eva will not only have to decide whose side she is on, she will have to decide who she is when the last illusions about her family have been stripped away. That is what also makes Monica more complicated. If she truly wants to protect Eva, to protect the people Leslie has manipulated, then she must accept that the truth she carries could destroy the last fragile piece inside a young woman who has already been dragged through too much pain. If Monica stays silent, she may preserve Eva's feelings in the moment, but she will also allow Leslie to keep living inside the safety of her lies. If Monica exposes everything, she may finally end Leslie's power, but at the same time push Eva into a wound so deep it may never fully heal. This is where Monica's real motive begins to be tested. Which path would someone choose if they came to protect? And which path would someone choose if they came to avenge? The line between justice and personal reckoning is so thin that with one wrong choice, Monica could shift from being a rescuer into just another person using a younger woman's pain to finish a private war of her own. Vernon sees that danger, yet he is not innocent enough to stand completely outside it. If he is using Monica as a chess piece, he will soon realize Monica is not the kind of piece that can be set down and picked up at will. She may agree to join the game because her immediate goal aligns with his interests, but once the conflict reaches the point where all disguises must be removed, Monica will choose the truth that serves her, not him. And that is when Vernon may become the next person at risk. Because if Monica knows more than she says, if she knows not only about Leslie but also something directly tied to Vernon's own buried secrets, then allowing her into the heart of the crisis is like opening a door and letting fire near a room full of gasoline. In the world of powerful families, the greatest mistake is not underestimating an enemy. It is believing you can control an ally. When the curtain begins to tear, who will the people Leslie has controlled for so long stand beside? That question could change the entire balance. Leslie has survived this long not only because of her cruelty, but because the people around her have become accustomed to silence. Some stay quiet out of fear, some out of emotional debt, some because they believe that if the truth ever comes out, it will destroy too much. And so enduring the pain seems easier than exposing it. But once Monica appears as living proof that Leslie is not invincible, those who have long been suffocated by Leslie may begin to shift. The moment one person dares step outside Leslie's orbit of control, the others will begin to see the possibility of survival beyond fear. And that is what Leslie should fear most of all. Not being directly attacked by an opponent, but watching her former victims begin to believe that she can be beaten. That is why the more Leslie is pushed into a corner, the less likely she is to run. A woman like Leslie does not leave to begin again somewhere else, because her nature is not merely to survive, but to win, to leave scars behind, to make others pay before she falls. If Monica is Leslie's natural enemy, then the thing most likely to bring Monica down is the weakness that often traps those who come seeking revenge, personal emotion. A person who enters battle carrying an old wound that has never healed always risks acting too soon, too forcefully, or in the wrong place because they need to badly to see the other person suffer. Leslie is very good at recognizing and exploiting precisely those imbalances. If she realizes Monica is acting not only out of principle but also because of a private debt, Leslie will try to drag Monica out of her calm, force her to react emotionally, expose her weakness, and perhaps even turn her into the one who appears dangerous in the eyes of the very people she is trying to protect. That is how manipulators survive, not through truth, but by making the person holding the truth look unstable and untrustworthy. This war, then, is not simply a battle between good and evil, or between protector and destroyer. It is a collision of motives that are not entirely pure. Monica may have come to save people, but she may also have come to collect a debt. Vernon may want to stop Leslie to protect his family, but he may also know that if Leslie keeps digging, something even bigger will be dragged into the light. Leslie may be vicious, cruel, and deeply calculating, but the fact that she fears Monica so intensely suggests she knows there is something in her past that cannot survive exposure. And Eva stands at the center of it all, like a heart stretched to its breaking point between blood, truth, and the desperate need to live without remaining forever the shadow of the older generation's sins. Sooner or later, the moment will come when no one can remain in the gray area any longer. If Leslie collapses, the first secret to fall may not be what she has done in the present, but what she once did in the past to Monica or to someone Monica loved. And once the first secret drops, the others will not remain in place. They will pull one another into the light like links in a rotten chain, finally breaking apart. Eva will be forced to look at her mother with completely different eyes. Vernon may be forced to explain why he knew, why he stayed silent, and why he chose to use Monica instead of telling the truth himself. And Monica will be left to face the cruelest question of all. After everything, is she truly any different from Leslie, or is she simply another version of obsession? Another woman willing to drag an entire family into ruin in order to complete an old reckoning. At Fairmont Crest, no one walks away from a war like this intact. If Monica is strong enough to defeat Leslie, the cost of victory may be Eva's trust, the fragile balance of the Dupree family, and even the last piece of Monica's own humanity. If Monica is not strong enough, then she will become Leslie's next victim, crushed the way so many others have been before. And by then, everyone will understand too late that sometimes the only person willing to stand in front of a monster is someone carrying wounds deep enough to become something dangerous as well. And Leslie, with no path left to retreat, will almost certainly not go quietly. She will strike first. For someone like Leslie, being exposed is not as terrifying as losing control. And because she cannot bear the thought of becoming prey, she will do the only thing her instincts allow her to do: attack, destroy, and drag others down with her. That is why this storm will not end with a confrontation between two women. It will become a reckoning that pulls down an entire system of lies, where every person will have to pay for what they knew, what they hid, and what they chose to remain silent about for far too long.